Now, here's your BIg Mornings host, Ted Ehlen.
It's 8:11. Skype interviews, well, they're gaining huge popularity in all industries, and you can kind of figure out the reasons why they're the next best thing to face-to-face interviews, and they also save time and money for businesses and organizations. But the ease and efficiency of live video can often also broadcast bad impressions. So here to help, we got somebody. And offering 10 tips to a successful Skype interview. Joining us right now to talk a little bit about that on BIg Mornings and the Big AM 1380. She's coached hundreds of students on how to successfully navigate a job for over 10 years. She's in the she's the associate director of the Graduate Career Management Center at Baruch College. Lindsey, thanks a lot. Appreciate you joining us this morning.
Sure. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
And by the way, I do want to mention one thing. There's a subtitle to 10 tips to a successful Skype interview. It's and that is generated when one too many interviews gone bad. So basically, yes. But that's the thing, because it's like you end up moving into this, you make mistakes, you learn from your mistakes, and you move forward, and you become an expert along the way. So obviously, this is a situation you've gone through before, and so and it's a live and learn situation sometimes when it comes to this, huh, Lindsey?
Definitely. I live and learn, and also I was interviewing students that were hoping to get into the full-time MBA program here, and I was just seeing mistakes after mistakes, and so it actually came out of a bit of frustration, and I thought maybe our students are doing the same things when they're interviewing for internships, and maybe this could help them. So it sort of came about because of that.
There you go, because and that's the thing, because on your end, it comes down to critiquing, because you're critiquing an awful lot of different things when it comes to helping the students over at the college when it comes to career placement down the road as well. So really, you're somebody who is in the know, and so you're passing along these tips so everybody can be in the know, because let's just face it, with the way things are changing technologically, we're going to see more and more and more of these Skype-type interviews down the road, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We're definitely seeing an increase in Skype interviews, both for internship opportunities for our students as well as full-time positions for recent grads and alumni that have been out 10, 20 years. So they're absolutely gaining popularity.
So let's go over these tips that you've provided for a successful Skype interview. And really, it's not really not that different at all from doing a face-to-face interview. You got to dress for success is the first one.
Exactly. Yeah, dress for success. Just because it's over the video and it's over Skype, and maybe you're dialing in from your living room or a coffee shop, you still want to dress like you would for a regular interview. For different industries, that may mean different things, but for the most part, it's at least a suit jacket for most industries. So dress exactly how you would for an in-person interview.
Now, you mentioned about possibly doing the interview from a coffee shop. Is it a situation, because I know your next one is location. Is it kosher to do one at a coffee shop, or I guess it's just making sure it's the right venue?
Right, exactly, making sure it's the right venue. If a coffee shop, no, I wouldn't advise that, actually. You really want a private space that's quiet, but most importantly, you want to consider what's in the background. The interviewer can not only see you, but the interviewer can see the whole shot. So you don't want them to be distracted by what's in the background. I remember I was interviewing a prospective MBA student, and she had hot pink puffy throw pillows behind her. And all I could focus on was these puffy pink throw pillows. They're really pretty throw pillows, but that wasn't the purpose of the interview. So you don't want your background to be distracting.
Well, now I'm just wondering at this point, I know that they use this for television. I think you might be able to buy them. Say, for example, just buy like a background. If you don't have like a bookshelf or something, you can just buy like a background of a bookshelf and put it behind you so you can look a little more studious. Would that help?
Yeah, I never thought of that. That's a great tip. I'll add that to my tips.
Yeah, I'm going, and because of that, I'm going to go buy me the background of a bookshelf. That's what I'm going to do. Another tip: don't be camera shy, and that's key too, because you see a lot of people who end up talking. Say, for example, on Skype, they look at the screen, but they're not looking at the camera.
Exactly, yeah. A huge part of interviewing is making a connection with the person that you're speaking to. And over video, it's a little bit different because you're not in person, obviously, and so subtle tweaks you can make to try to make that connection can really help. And one of those is looking straight in the camera so the interviewer really feels like you're speaking to them.
Right, exactly. And that's, it's same story too if you want to make it in television. Keep that in mind too. Don't look at the cue cards, look at the camera. And assuming the right position, posture is everything when it comes to this too, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Posture and making sure that the shot, you want it to be really from your waist up, so similar to a professional headshot. It shouldn't be too close. I've had people use FaceTime on their phones to take an interview, and then I only get a really, really close-up shot of just their head, which can be a little bit too close, so it really should be from the waist up.
Would that be a good tip for a LinkedIn photo too?
Absolutely, yep.
So basically, if you got a good LinkedIn photo, just make yourself look the same way on camera when you're doing a Skype interview, and you're in. There you go. At least you're that much closer to possibly getting in. Let's look at it this way, because let's just face it, Lindsey. When it comes to this, there's no guarantee. You just got to move forward, perform, and then from there, just hope for the best in many cases, right?
Exactly, yeah. There's so much that goes into interviewing. I do many mock interviews with the same students, and I suggest that they meet with some of our other advisors here in the Graduate Career Management Center, because these are just only a few things. There's so much that goes into interviewing.
Have you ever had to do a Skype interview yourself?
I have, actually. As a matter of fact, it was one of the interviews that was a part of the process for the job I'm in now.
Wonderful. So you did a good job then, huh?
I guess so. I hope so.
Therefore, she's an authority because she'd done it and she'd been there. That's for certain.
Right.
And also use your words. And I think this is something, especially in these days, that can be a challenge simply because of texting, because of email language, and the one you point out is emojis. Don't use emojis when you're messaging.
Right. It's all about appearing professional. So you don't want to treat the interviewer casually just because you have the opportunity to message them in the Skype chat box. That doesn't mean you should, especially you don't want to include emojis, any type of smiley faces or graphics. Really treat it professionally.
Yeah, and that's really a challenge these days. I'm thinking you run into that an awful lot with the people you're working with. Writing can really be a challenge for them these days. Yeah,
I think especially those that are used to constantly texting their friends, their family over the phone. It's hard for them to sort of break that habit. Of then moving into sort of professional communication style, right, when they're interviewing or in an internship or on the job. But it's really important.
See, that's why I have really, really long texts, because I write words and things like that. And I don't do K for okay or something like my wife does, indeed. We're talking with Lindsey Plewa-Schottland. She is the Associate Director of the Graduate Career Management Center at Baruch College. Where that's in New York, right?
Yeah, we're located in the Flatiron District, so we're right by Madison Square Park, 25th Street and 3rd Avenue.
In the heart of the city, the Big Apple. There you go.
Yeah.
We already talked about number 6, be photo ready, because basically we're talking about the making sure that what your photo looks like in LinkedIn, if it looks good, make it look the same way when you're in your interview with Skype. And and the other one, of course, is very important, to be on time.
Absolutely, yeah. I recently had a Skype interview with another prospective MBA student, and he was about, I think, 6 minutes late. Who's counting, but it was about 6 minutes. And he just jumped right into it. And things happen, but it's really important to acknowledge it if you are late. The interviewer definitely realizes it, so you want to acknowledge it, apologize, and move on.
Yeah.
Ideally, you don't want to be late, of course. I would say even logging in at least 5 minutes early.
Yeah.
So that that you're ready.
Or as we call it in Wisconsin, Lombardi time, because the great coach of the Green Bay Packers, Vince Lombardi, always told his guys, when I say 7 o'clock, I mean 6:45. But then again, it's just 5 minutes or something like that. Just make sure you're well ahead of time, because punctuality is a key. And one other thing that comes in real handy when it comes to doing a Skype interview is making sure that everything's working ahead of time too. And that's one thing you want to make sure of too, right, Lindsey?
Absolutely, yeah. And that you would do way ahead of time, maybe the day before, not 5 minutes before the interview. You might want to even do a test run with a friend just to make sure that your connection is reliable.
And also, when the interview is through, it makes perfect sense, and it's courteous, too, to send a thank you.
Absolutely, yeah. Just because the interview is conducted over Skype, it doesn't mean that the interviewer isn't expecting a proper thank you email within 24 hours. So that's really the big tip here is the same rules apply for Skype interviews as they do for in-person interviews.
Mm-hmm. And when you're thanking them, don't send one with an emoji or anything like that, like we were just talking about before. So, you know something, it mentions about 10 tips, and I got 9.
Yes. Yeah. So the 10th is treat Skype interviews the same as you would for in-person interviews. That's the 10th tip. Okay,
and that's important simply because you may think, it's like, the person's not really here, but hey, I got news for you. The important thing is this is a job interview like no other job interview. No different than being in person, so you got to take that same level of seriousness into it, that same level of professionalism. Now, the one thing that I'm thinking, a lot of people, because we've seen this before, we've heard about it before, where you've got news anchors that are on the set. They're wearing their suit, they're wearing their tie, they're wearing the nice top or whatever if they're a woman, and the jewelry and all that, but underneath they're wearing like jeans or shorts and sneakers and stuff like that. That wouldn't be a good idea, because just in case you need to stand up, you should be fully dressed when it comes head to toe, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I also think that showing up in your full interview attire also helps to boost your confidence.
Yeah.
It sort of puts you in that mode of, okay, this is an interview, and I'm gonna treat it that way, and I'm gonna show up just like I would for in person.
Yeah, because you don't want to get caught in your pajama bottoms when you're in the middle of a job interview. That's for certain. Any other advice you can pass along, Lindsey, about this?
I think the one thing would be you are dealing with technology, and as we all know, sometimes things can go awry. So having that run through with a friend would be really useful. So just remember that there are some tweaks that you may need to consider because of technology, and that would be the big difference.
And I'm thinking that with what you're doing over at Baruch College, you're probably doing that with the people you're working with already, preparing them for the Skype interviews and doing mock Skype interviews too these days, right?
Yes, we are. Some of our alumni are all across the U.S., so we certainly offer Skype mock interviews and just Skype appointments as well for our alumni and current students that maybe have gone back home for the summer. So yes, phone, Skype, in person, we do it all.
Lindsey Plewa-Schottland. She has coached hundreds of students on how to navigate a job search. She's done that for over a decade now, and she's helping you now when it comes to that Skype interview. Should that happen down the road, and with the way things are working in society, that may be coming your way down the road if you're ever doing a job interview. Lindsey joining us on BIg Mornings on the Big AM 1380. If people want to find out more about this, do you have any online ideas that they might be able to find more info on it for this topic, Lindsey?
Sure. I think LinkedIn, honestly, is a great site, linkedin.com, for career-related articles like this. I am on LinkedIn, and I do post regarding Skype interviews as well as job search tips. So feel free to follow me on LinkedIn. And another great site that I use is called the Muse. MUSE, themuse.com, which is also a great site for career tips.
Yeah, and at this point, if you are a professional or somebody looking for work and are not on LinkedIn yet, you really should be. And Lindsey can back me up on that one because it's really important when it comes to connections, networking, and a lot of stuff, right?
Absolutely. I do workshops with my students just on LinkedIn, and I talk about it all day, every day.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because I have a few nieces and nephews, and I was telling you got to get on LinkedIn. This is something that's going to help you out. Saying, no, I'm not. And they're very lukewarm about it, but this is very important. And I think that you stress that to your students over at Baruch then.
Extremely important. It's really the number one job search tool these days, honestly.
You got that right, sister. Lindsey Plewa-Schottland joining us on BIg Mornings on the Big AM 1380. Well, that was fun. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it, Lindsey.
Thank you so much.